For Wall Street Media, this is Tyler. I'm here with Doug, and we'll help you make money in the stock market with information you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, super cool stuff. Only us, Ty.
Only us.
And so you have to watch us to learn these things.
Yes, we got to.
Stevens. I love Stevens, right? I told you that I met Ann Poole, the consumer analyst, senior
You
analyst.
didn't tell me, but.
And at the Coldwater Creek had the management in. And my God, man. Guys, if you don't know who we are, you probably should. We do 20,000 CEOs a year. And so I've heard a few, for 10 years. And so I've heard a few analysts here and there in my day. And she just stood out. She was like the Michael Jordan of consumer analysts. I was like so blown away by how much she knew and the questions. And, she's funny, right? Because she doesn't go away. She doesn't get distracted.
That's awesome.
Like, I want this answer. I want this answer.
Right.
I want this answer.
You better answer.
And Georgia was the one that I follow around. She's co-CEO for Coldwater Creek. Super nice, right? And she knew her business too, right? And I'm going to add, I own some Coldwater Creek, but I'm going to add some of them today from seeing them at the Stevens conference, then meeting them, and then knowing Ann Poole is a Stevens analyst. Really impressive.
Awesome.
Guys, if you watch the show, it's a long time between times when I say that. Okay.
It really is. I'll vouch for that for sure.
I appreciate that.
The conference, the Stevens conference, you can find that at wsw.com/webcast/STPH9. We got a video for you here. This is Mark Stauffer. He's the CFO and EVP of Orion Marine Group. Their ticker is OMGI. He talks about growth in the business going forward.
As you know, we're currently in uncertain economic times, the unique period in the history of our economy. However, we intend to continue to execute our growth strategy by reinvesting in our business and continuing our expansion plans through organic growth and strategic acquisitions. With regard to acquisitions, as we have in the past, we'll remain opportunistic and we'll evaluate each opportunity on its own merits, including availability and pricing of financing. Still, our growth plans are not dependent on acquisitions, but those can accelerate our growth strategy. We believe we'll be able to execute our growth strategy through continued growth in our end markets. And as Mike said, while some of our end markets could experience a pullback as a result of the current economic conditions, others could outperform. As a couple of examples, there remains over $10 billion of planned port expansions in our market areas over the next several years. We're also continuing to see growth in the cruise industry, as well as planned $4.5 billion of funding for bridge construction in 2009. We also have seen recent funding from the federal government of $740 million related to emergency funds for dredging and construction in the storm-affected areas on the Gulf Coast. Specifically for 2009, we are tracking about $1.4 billion of market opportunities, and these opportunities combined with the $110 million of backlog expected to be liquidated in 2009 lead to our 2009 revenue growth goal of between 12 and 16% year over year. And regardless of what that top-line growth we achieve is, our goal is to continue to manage the business profitably. And for 2009, our goal is to have an EBITDA margin in the range of 14 to 18%. And this is a note here, our backlog represents the unliquidated portion of signed contracts. And the safe harbor is there. Typically those are going to turn into revenues, but we can't guarantee that our backlog will turn into revenues. To sum it up, we believe Orion Marine Group has a strong and bright future ahead. As we look at 2009, we're cautiously optimistic about the prospects that lie ahead. Our main goal is to continue to grow the business profitably, so we'll be prudent in our bidding and execution and vigilant in monitoring the economic developments which are currently difficult to predict. But we believe with our history, our position in the industry, and the anticipated growth, that should lead us to good shareholder value in the future.
Hey, good stuff, Tyler. These guys are doing stuff with the basic infrastructure, marine infrastructure, right? hence the Marine Group name.
Right. Thanks for that.
And I think that these guys, they're going to lock in longer-term contracts, and these bridges and the pipelines and that kind of thing are going to need to be done. Right?
Absolutely.
Our infrastructure's crumbling, right? So I like the prospects, and I like what he said in the video.
Beautiful.
Watch the whole thing again. You can see all of the presentations for the Stevens conference, which I really enjoyed. What is that, German? STPH9? WSW.com/webcast/STPH and then the number 9.
Yep. Moving on.
We have highlights.
We do from the Stevens conference as well. This is we had Jeffrey Stazak, the president and CEO of Volterra Semiconductor. Their ticker is VLTR. He talked about their integrated power management semiconductor solution, which has increased performance 5 times, while energy loss has been cut 3 times, and process and package improvements have reduced the company's cost per amp. Their Gen 5 semiconductor will ramp up all next year, especially in the server space. Their Gen 6 semiconductor is completing design, and Gen 7 is in R&D and will move to a smaller CMOS line width. We also had Cliff Beckham, CEO of USA Truck. Their ticker is USAK. He talked about a new operational strategy, keeping their current core while building profitable freight flows and reducing the length of hauls, which the market has shown have a better return on capital than long hauls. He talked about new plans. The VEVA plan is a 6-year plan divided into 2 phases, in which they move from long haul to short haul and work on improving their freight flows. Project Technology, a project to dump their current outdated software system and buy new software systems, migrating over to the new software over a couple of years, is also currently in place.
Hey, these guys had an awful lot of good trucking companies present. And as always, you can go to the lobby and hear them, right? Conway and YRC Worldwide, USA Truck. They have a great trucking analyst team. They're the team that they left, I believe, as a team from BB&T a couple years ago and all migrated over to Stevens, intact. They were known as like one of the best teams, and they still are. It's just different email addresses these days at Stevens. Yeah.
Let's see. We also have Harold Brown. He's the president and CEO of Harris Stratix Networks. Their ticker's HSTX. He talked about the expansion of their solution set into the IP mobile network services and WiMAX networks, and outlined the company's global operations. Gary MacArthur, CFO of Harris Corporation, their ticker is HRS. He talked about how the macroeconomic environment plays to the company's strengths, especially in the government, IT, and global defense spaces. The company has a $600 million stock repurchase program underway, which he said they'll continue unless they find important acquisitions, and they want to use that money for that.
Yeah, a lot of the companies right now are doing just that, Tyler. If you've had a profitable business for a while, like we were talking about Werner the other day, WERN, right?
Yep.
And I guess they're not finding other acquisitions, that they're finding, they don't view them as profitable enough. So, like, WERN is giving $2.10 dividend, and this is the shortest between when you have to be shareholder of record and payout that I've ever heard of, right? It's November 21st.
Yep.
If you're shareholder of record you get paid December 5th.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
A couple more here for you. Larry Sala, Chairman, President, and CEO of Anaren. Their ticker is ANEN. He talked about the 2 acquisitions made last quarter, the first of MS Kennedy on August 1st, and the second being Unicircuit on August 29th. Naftali Idan, the EVP and CFO of Ceragon Networks, ticker CRNT, talked about cell phone subscriber growth and increased data traffic worldwide, which has allowed Ceragon to see 45% CAGR of revenues since 2003. He said next year they will continue growing despite the economic conditions. Robert Fugate, co-founder and CFO of Cebion, ticker CBEY, he said that the company sees sustainable organic growth of 20% over the next several years, driven by superior product and highly successful marketing. Revenue CAGR has increased 53% since 2002, as they are targeting the underserved customer. Bill Zollers, president and CEO of YRC Worldwide, ticker YRCW. He discussed the recent acquisition of Jiayu. This is you right here.
This is me.
Asian boy.
Jiayu,
thank you. Wonderful.
My Asian skills.
Yeah. In companies in China, and they provide ground transportation for their customer base in China. At the beginning of...
I sure hope they speak a lot of English very well over there, because I've been listening to these friggin' Vietnamese tapes that the German got me. for quite some time, right?
Uh-huh.
And I said the same thing over to Tina. Like, it sounded exactly right to me. I was like ready to become like the ambassador
Right,
to
and she
Vietnam.
started laughing.
And she didn't know what I was saying.
Oh, no.
She didn't even tell me like you said it wrong. She was just like, she looked at me like if I was talking to parody. You know, it's kind of like,
What was that?
I know there's sound coming out. But anyhow,
That is awesome. Back here at
I'm
the
not in
beginning.
jeopardy to host any game shows in Saigon anytime
Well,
soon.
thank God. Yeah. At the beginning of the year, they began a $100 million cost savings plan that they have greatly surpassed, he said. Don Cochran, the CEO of Universal Truckload Services, ticker UACL, he said that they continue to recruit profitable agents. They have had steady finances for the past few years and have not seen a substantial decrease during the current economic environment.
I liked the truckers. You know, the guy from Warren, he's the founder, the Heartland guys. You know, you got the fathers and the sons, or the CEOs and the CFOs, sons, right?
Yep.
Are in the company, right? And these are guys that are watching their money and caring about their shareholders and caring about their business. It's their business.
Yep.
I like them.
That's a good
And
capitalist
Stevens gets together a good
thing.
group of them. They have the best group of trucking analysts, and they get together a good conference, and you get good questions. You should listen to these guys. Let me tell you something. We don't actually do this, so I get the pleasure of spending time with Tyler.
He actually
although it is
does.
my
He
great
enjoys
joy.
it a lot.
But we do it because all of Wall Street guys that are very, very successful. We own the servers. I see who's on there. Right? And the hedge funds, the pension funds, they're all listening to these guys because they know that it helps them make decisions and get a feel for the company and for the leadership and the management. And you should too.
That to me, that's the most important thing, is actually seeing the person and how they interact with people, just their character being on stage.
And
this
that's
is really
what we're
important.
trying to give you teasers and highlights here to give you the cliff notes, but you ought to do a little work yourself. And
Absolutely.
if something we say interests you, go and listen to the whole thing.
And speaking of that, we have a couple more notes here from the Stevens Conference. We have John Wehoff, he's the CEO, and Chad Lindblom, the CFO of C.H. Robinson Worldwide, ticker CHRW. He explained that the company is aggressively monitoring the accounts receivable and credit limits, selling and pursuing market share growth, and maintaining a conservative balance sheet and capital structure in order to react to the current environment where there is weak freight demand and volatile currency fluctuations. And Ray Schmitz, the CFO of Dynamics, their ticker is DDMX, he talked about their successful ongoing project of franchising in an effort to further expand the network and increase market share. And that's from the Stevens Conference.
Fantastic. I like Stevens quite a bit. Sandy, God bless you. They run a great conference. And Ampool's uber impressive, right? And the great trucking group analyst.
Yep.
Well done. Thanks, Ty.
My pleasure. We're here every day at Wall Street Media. You can find us directly at WSMCO.com. Thanks.